This phony NBC television network. But they built these studios. CNN. Whoop. Hey, the camera just went off. I can't imagine.
That was President Trump last night in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It was a long speech, more than an hour. It's a pretty interesting speech, actually. But unless you're watching this channel, you likely didn't see it. Producers over at CNN and MSNBC cut away pretty quickly. CNN covered Trump's speech for a mere 7 minutes, then went on to discuss Jared Kushner's security clearance. Bet you didn't know that was breaking news. And Jay Johnson's claim that, you guessed it, Vladimir Putin ordered cyber attacks in this country. MSNBC didn't show the speech at all, and instead dedicated more time to, brace yourselves, the alleged collusion between Trump and Putin. Joe Concha writes about Media for the Hill, and he joins us tonight. So, Joe, MSNBC, I get, actually, they know who their audience is. That doesn't bother me. CNN's supposed to be a news channel, and they talk about Trump a lot, and here they have a chance to actually show Trump talking, but they cut away. What is that about?
When you say a lot, Tucker, boy, you hit the nail on the head. There was one snapshot back in May. It was a non-breaking news day, kind of like last night. MRC study showed that CNN talked about Trump 92% of the time from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. And if you watch the network, and I watch it often because it's part of my job, that's about right. Probably somewhere between 85 and 92%. They're talking about Trump. So when you're so myopic on a particular person, in this case the president, why wouldn't you cover him live to actually hear what he has to say, unless that unfiltered version of Trump doesn't allow for commentary, punditry, or maybe speculation around the latest bombshell that came via unnamed sources? So then we talk about the business end of this, right, of journalism. How did the ratings work out? Was this a good editorial decision by CNN and MSNBC not to cover this rally live as Fox did? I have the numbers in front of me. Fox more than quadrupled CNN's audience during live coverage at 8 p.m. Eastern last night. Total audience, Fox 3.3 million, CNN 821,000. Against MSNBC, Fox 3.3 million, MSNBC 1.53 million. Then people talked about the demographic. That's the younger audience that advertisers cover most. Fox 642,000, MSNBC 414,000, CNN 260,000. So was this a good choice? It appears not from a business perspective or an editorial perspective.
Well, it's not. I wish we could take credit for those numbers. It was Trump talking, not this show. But it's not really journalism what CNN is practicing anymore. It's advocacy. And again, that's okay. I think there's a role for advocacy. But why does the channel continue to brand itself as a news outlet?
I don't know how you sell that, right? You say suddenly for 37 years, we're in existence since 1980. You used to work for him way back when. You suddenly say, hey, the days of Bernard Shaw and Aaron Brown, those are gone, and we're just going to be now the opposition party instead. I don't know how you necessarily come out and be transparent about that. But you're right, and the numbers support that. The Harvard study, hardly a bastion of right-leaning conservatism, came out a couple weeks ago, showed that CNN, more than any other broadcast outlet, at least on cable, 93% of its stories are negative. That means out of 100 stories, only 7 stories on CNN are positive. And again, last night was newsworthy to cover because Trump had not done an interview on cable since May 13th, hadn't done one on broadcast news since May 11th with Lester Holt. Therefore, an unpredictable president and that sort of audience on a non-breaking news night, I think you got to cover that.
Well, you kind of would think that if you're going to call yourself a news network. I guess what bothers me is the dishonesty. And I don't follow a lot of media about media. I know that that's your job. Is CNN still regarded as a news channel by other news outlets? Do they cite CNN as a source for unbiased accounts of what happened in the world? Or is it seen as an advocacy platform?
I think there's a circle that goes between CNN, New York Times, and the Washington Post, and they like to quote each other a lot. But I think to objective observers, based on studies I've read as well, they're simply not seen as objective anymore. So, again, not just CNN, by the way, Tucker. We saw just today on MSNBC, you had an analyst on there, Elise Jordan, who used to work for the Bush administration, said that sticking up for Trump is like hugging a suicide bomber. You would think after the Kathy Kathy Griffin thing. You'd stop using ISIS analogies in these situations, but it seems like hyperbole is just going on both sides, and negativity has worked to a certain extent, but when the president is speaking, you probably should cover that. If not, you're going to pay for it in the ratings, and we certainly saw that last night.
Extremism, the pursuit of Trump, is no vice. That is their view. It's unbelievable. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Good to see you.
It's great.